the light goes green. Best believe I'm in the zone to be. From a yin to my yang to Z. Put a grin on my chin when you come to me. Cause I'll win, I'm a one of a kind, and I'll bring death to the place you're about to be. Another river of blood running under my feet. Forged in a fire lit long ago. Stand next to me, you'll never stand alone. I'm last to leave, but the first to go. Lord, make me dead before you make me whole. I feed on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind, kill with a heart like Arctic ice.
I am a soldier and I'm marching on.
I am a soldier and I'm marching on.
I am a warrior, this is my song.
I am a warrior and this is my song. I'm basking the glow of the rising war. Lay waste to the ground of an enemy shore. Wade through the blood spilled on the floor. And if another one stands, I'll kill some more. Bullet in the breach and a fire in me. Like a cigarette thrown to gasoline. If death don't bring you fear, I swear you'll fear these marching feet. Come to the nightmare, come to me. Deep down in the dark where the devil be. In the mall where the jaws and the razor teeth. Where the brimstone burns and the angel weeps. Crawl to the gods of a cross your path. And my silhouette hangs like a body bag. Hope is a moment now long past. The shadow of death is the one I cast. I am a soldier and I'm marching on. I am a warrior and this is my song. My eyes are steel and my gaze is long. I am a warrior and this is my song.
We're not just going to shoot the bastard. We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to murder those lousy bastards by the bushel.
Now I live lean and I mean to inflict the grief. And the least of me is still out of your reach. The killing machine's gonna do the deed until the river runs dry and my last breath leaves. Chin in the air with a head held high. I'll stand in the path of the enemy line. Feel no fear, know my pride. For God and country I'll enjoy life. I am a soldier and I'm marching on. I am a warrior and this is my song. My eyes are steel and my gaze is long. I am a warrior and this is my song.
All right, now you sons of bitches. You know how I feel.
And I think the president knows how we all feel. Welcome to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen. Live, the Steel City Resistance Edition from the city of Pittsburgh. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., your host. I'm going to head northeast over the Monongahela River and welcome Ward Miller to the program. Hello, Ward.
Hello, Hutch. Hello, Steel City Resistance episode. I'm here in Mission Control, ready to rock and roll. We got a great show today. Lots of fun stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. Really fun stuff. Please follow me on Spreaker. The email is scrtv@live.com. Check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. Ward manages that and has continued to manage it throughout all this time. The Cold War Radio hotline is 412-206-6208. If you want to catch the podcast, you can go to any podcast aggregator or 405media.com. iHeartRadio, a great operation. RD Elephant is moving right along. The Cold War Radio app, free in your app store, whether Android or iPhone. You can go to YouTube where the show is completely transcribed, so there are captions if you select that. On Twitter, if you use the hashtag Cold War Radio, you'll be instantly connected with a whole lot of like-minded people who listen to the program. And please go to steelcityresistance.com. That's where you can become a Cold War Radio patron. That's what we need the most, ladies and gentlemen, to keep this show going. You can also catch the research room with a plethora of information just about all kinds of topics that you end up in debates with idiots all day long. It gives you all the knowledge that you need. You can also subscribe on Subscribestar. Check out the video page, which is the page that shows the videos of most of the clips that we play on the show. If you'd like to write to the show, it's Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 96022, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15226. Cold War Radio. And I want to thank Pam M. and Kat in Arizona for your generous donations. Thank you. I didn't go to the mailbox yet, Kat, but I know it's in there. I made a mistake, Ward, and I'm going to put this out there to all of you. If you're going to get a post office box, don't necessarily get the closest one. I picked the worst post office box location I could have possibly. I have to pay to park to check my mail, Ward. You know,
Wow.
I mean, it's like
Where'd you get this at?
in Brookline, right on Brookline Boulevard, and I'll tell you, it's a draconian place, man. It's got a staff, but at lunchtime they lock the doors. They lock, and the lunchtime is bizarre. It's like 12:30 to 1:30 or something. I'm gonna find a new PO box. I think that's the only reason I didn't get there yet.
Now, when they lock the doors, you can't access.
Nope.
I mean, you don't have to talk to them at all, right? I mean, you can just
No,
walk up to
not
the door
unless
as long as it's not locked.
As long as it's not a package.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, but you can check your box. You don't have to really deal with those people.
But
so.
they lock it ahead of the lobby. You know, you can't even get into the lobby. It's ridiculous.
That's wrong.
It is. Oh, you should have heard the post lady arguing with me about socialized medicine, how good it is, and how dumb we are because the word socialist in there that we think it's socialism.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're complete morons. We can't tear apart a word or a sentence and go, okay, well, let's just call it. We'll call it your type of health care. It's just we'll call it moron care because that's exactly what it is. You know, everybody was online last week about this guy, and I felt terrible for him. A guy in England who was. Basically, they said he was brain dead, and they were going to take him off the feeding tubes and whatnot. And he actually started to cry, meaning that he understood that they were going to kill him.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's in England, socialized medicine says he ain't going to have any kind of a life, so we're going to just let him starve to death. That's the coming attraction, folks. That's what they're looking for.
That's right. I mean, when you look at this abortion,
that is what.
You look at this late-term abortion ward, and who's next?
Exactly, the old people.
Right.
Well, you know, we can kill the kids, we'll kill the old people, because then they'll justify it because, oh, well, they're not going to lead a productive life, or their best years are behind them. And they try and normalize that by killing babies now, and they rationalize that by saying, oh, well, it's a clump of cells, it's a zygote until this stage. But when you say, okay, fine. At end stage, you know, when the child, if it stays viable for another 3 minutes, is born into this world a human being, they try and differentiate and say, well, it's at the time until it's born, it's really not a human. Okay, but it feels pain. It has a heartbeat. There is brain activity. So what part of this is not a human being?
Unless there's a man involved. If there's a man involved and he gets into an altercation with a woman that's pregnant, and somehow she gets injured and the baby dies, watch him get put up for murder, though.
Exactly. I don't understand, and somebody I'm sure will explain it to me at some point, but I don't understand how they equate abortions to health care. You know, because, of course, you always hear the story of, oh, well, what happens if it's through, rape or incest? Rape or incest, those actual statistics are less than 1% of all abortions that are committed in the United States. Less than 1% are from rape or incest. So that's just a thing that they throw out there. So you go, well, I can't be for rape or incest. No, nobody would be. I mean, that's stupid.
All right,
abortions that come from that are only 1%. Let's get back to the show. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Jumped up
It's an important topic, but I do want to. There's some other important topics going on. You've heard they call them the squad now. So now all three of them. They finally put Presley in there. But let me pull something up here. But you've got these 4 miscreants, these communists, and one of them happens to be a jihad. 2 of them happen to be jihadists. But you've got Ilhan Omar, you've got Rashida Tlaib, you got AOC, and you've got Presley. And the thing is, Ayanna Presley. There's a guy named Sakrat Chakrabarti, who is AOC's chief of staff, and Zach Exley. And these people are all connected, these 4. They're part of what's called the Justice Democrats. And they're anything but for justice, and they're the flag bearer of the Democrat Party. It's outstanding. And President Trump had enough of this, man. He just totally had enough. And this is going to be the episode of clips, Ward. We've got a lot of clips because you got to listen to them in their own words.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of these people, because the more they talk, the better the chance there is for a landslide. And that's why Nancy's losing her mind. Nancy is going, she's trying to shut them up.
She has to defend him now. She has to defend him now. It's
exactly.
Awesome. It's awesome. This guy, he pulled it off, man.
Yeah. We were talking about that before the show. Trump plays 3D chess, man. He doesn't play checkers. And he's not, Nancy doesn't understand this. She's used to the status quo of, okay, I'm going to call you a racist and you're going to deny it. No, he's going to say, okay, boom.
And now you when we used to say that, I used to fight against that 3D chess argument during the first year of the Trump administration because he was new to us and there were so many enemies around him. That I just laughed that off, and not just me. A lot of people laughed it off. But when you look at what he just did, you look at all the things he's done, but you look at what he just did with this, he didn't have to get involved in that. They were separating. Nancy Pelosi was about ready to put them out in the pasture, and the moderate Joe Biden wing of the Democrat Party and the congressional black Caucasians were coming out together, and they were standing against these people, and they were going to try to run a fake moderate ticket. And guess what? You can't do it now. Now Trump came in there, and he solidified the bond. And we're going to talk about this somewhere during the show. That there was a poll that came out, and everybody knows these people. They don't know all 4 of them, but everybody knows AOC and everybody knows Ilhan Omar. And they are 2 evil people that I would love to have be the face of the Democrat Party. Every time that Omar gets in front of a camera with that silly freaking headdress on, I want to tear it off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how they can. Why are their districts not screaming for their impeachment? Their thing is they want to impeach President Trump and whatever. All right, keep yelling. Now it's going to be to where they're going to push Nancy. So Nancy's going to have to make a decision. If Nancy decides I'm going to back them, because they came out today and the 4 of them got together and got into behind a podium, and they said that they want President Trump's impeachment and they demand it. So now Nancy has to not only defend them, but come up with a way to impeach. Now, there's no.
You can't make this up.
All these morons that keep yelling, let's impeach, let's impeach. Okay, impeachment is a nice way of saying press charges. All right, what charges are there? Right. I get into this argument daily on Twitter when these morons start screaming impeach. I say, okay, under what charge? I'll wait.
Federal offense. Federal offense. They're taking federal offense. They're offended.
Yes, the feds are offended, and they're not happy at all. And Nancy's fretting, and Chuck's just losing his mind. And
that comment just drips with racism. Let's listen to him in his own words.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. And that's what I say all the time. That's what I said in a tweet, which I guess some people think is controversial. A lot of people love it, by the way. A lot of people love it. But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, Very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
President Trump.
Bye. See ya. I feel that way 100%, and I think most people do.
Here's the thing. After listening to that, and we have some folks in the chat room, we would appreciate you guys chiming in. At any point during that clip there, did you hear the president say anything that was potentially racist? Anything?
Nope. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways of this, and that's why I loathe people like my own senator, Pat Toomey. I don't know exactly what he said, but I saw a clip that he, thought it was racist. And there's a couple other weak Republicans saying the same thing. Stop it! Don't do that. The man's telling the truth. The women hate the country. I don't think.
And he doesn't even have to say it's just them four. That could apply to everybody. Rosie O'Donnell, Meathead. You guys don't like the country. You can leave. There's no one holding you here. And that's the same for these detention centers that they keep calling concentration camps. They're not concentration camps because these people are free to leave. They just got to go back to their country.
That's it.
There's nothing that says that they're being held against their will. They are free to go just out of this country.
And I think one of the things that this highlights is I don't think that for conservatives, at least, you don't hear the kind of backlash that you heard back with the Billy Bush tape from Republicans. You don't hear that now. There's a couple. But I think that the word racism and the accusation of being a racist is not kryptonite anymore. I think we've gotten immune to it. And it's about time, because that stops every argument that we have against these communist trash people like these four. So they're not white, they're not white, and they're not men, so I can't say anything about them? No, it doesn't work that way. They're communists, and two of them are jihadists and should be fired out of this country right now just for that, without even opening their mouths.
I agree with you, Hutch. I mean, they've taken the word and beaten it to death to the point where it doesn't have an edge to it anymore. It used to be, if you were called a racist, it was, you actually said that?
And all the old white guys in the Republican Party, their panties got all bunched up.
Dude, I'm on Twitter every day, and if I'm not called a racist a dozen times, I'm not doing something. It's, I'm stalking. I'm not even typing anything. Because if I type anything daily, I'm called a racist at least 12 times. And I'm cool with that. Because it's like, so
not
what?
True.
You've gotten it to the point where, that's like, well, you just called me white. All right. I'm a white guy, so I guess I have to be a racist because that's part of our club now, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
So there's some good news in New York. NYPD union boss, a leftist organization, tells members to stand firm with ICE agents. That's a big deal, Ward. That is a really big deal. They're showing Portland what a bunch of communists they are there, and the cops too.
Yeah, but I have never had an issue with NYPD, with the police themselves. The police themselves do a tremendous job all over this country. And the fact that I don't blame the Portland police because they were given an order and they followed the order. I mean, even though it was a stupid order, and
see, that's where I disagree. I think if you're a cop, you have a duty to do what you said, no matter if you get bad orders like that. To watch somebody get their head caved in, I got a problem with that.
But I mean, it's so hard, Hutch. Because
I understand.
The police in this country do a job that many people find, number one, disdainful. Number two, wouldn't even think of putting themselves ahead of somebody else.
Right.
And so the guys that do the job are trying, and you got these politicians like Nancy Pelosi coming out and telling illegal aliens how to, if they don't have a warrant, don't answer the door. Well, Nancy, they do have warrants. When ICE shows up, this is because these people have missed their deportation. And so
Well,
they're being
some of them
evicted
had-
from the country.
Some of them had hearings.
And they do have
and were actually
No, they all had hearings.
Convicted and were getting deported because they lost their case.
Exactly.
You know, it
That's
was both.
exactly these 2,000 or whatever the number that they keep talking about. That's what they are. Is they're the illegals who've already gone through their asylum hearing and been denied. And it's like, okay, you gave it your shot. You had your day in court. Get out.
I'll tell you what.
So
I'd like
these
to
are
see
the
ICE
people
do.
that refuse to get out.
I'd like to see ICE go into some of these country club Republicans' donors' businesses and shut them down if they have illegal aliens in there and they knew it. I mean that. I mean, they should be fined $1 billion. If you're running a company in the United States of America and you're hiring non-citizens and there's one unemployed person in your district, I think you should be shut down. I think you're as anti-American as these communist four are.
I agree. I think that, they tried. In fact, I wrote an article on our site today, and it kind of goes to this. It's because of labels, right? They got to label everything and everybody so that if you have a label, we can go in there and that's just some other way that we can segregate you. And the more segregation we have, the more friction we can get going. So that's why they started the Afro-American and they started the, Hispanic American, because then you're a group that they can target and they can use that target to separate you from everybody else instead of saying, no, you're all Americans. There's one big America.
That's it.
Quit being African American, quit being Hispanic American, start being American. And they don't want that because it's easier to win if they divide us.
Let's go to
And
the
until
phones.
we as a people,
Let's
I'm
go to
sorry,
the-
Hutch, I'm getting
Sean from California, go ahead.
Hey, how are you guys doing? I got some really great news. You are all going to love this.
Roll it
Okay,
out.
so a federal court of appeals ruled in last week in favor of Trump's well within right to reward cities who cooperate with ICE. Now, this is applying to sanctuary cities. This came out of the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. So I'm pretty damn happy about this little situation. Any city that does not cooperate with ICE does not get any sort of bonus for their federal grants of immigration enforcement. I put the link in the chat just in case. But, I was so happy because the city of Los Angeles sued the administration, and they say that they were being treated unfairly because they were trying to be coerced into helping ICE deport all these illegal immigrants. Well, they missed out on $3 million worth of grant money. Oh, well.
Yeah, it's good. It's about time. It is. The lawlessness is out of control when it comes to these local officials. We've got one of the worst right here.
I honestly think that, especially like in California, you guys got to stand up to because it's like with all the problems, the homeless problems in San Francisco and whatnot, and all throughout California. I mean, but San Francisco is getting a light shined on it because that's Nancy's district and it's terrible. And I guess my point is, I guess with the governor, with Newsom just basically spitting in Trump's face every chance he gets, and then having to come hat in hand and say, okay, well, there was a terrible earthquake and we need billions of dollars of money. Doesn't it seem to you like he's like super hypocritical?
Yeah, he is super hypocritical all the time. He goes to President Trump and he's like, oh, crap, well, now I got to make myself look good in order to be reelected as governor. If I don't do this, I'm going to get screwed. Oh, well, I need to spin his face. And then when the chance arises to make myself look good in front of the public of California, I better suck it up and actually go to him and say, hey, I need $2 billion to fix the damages that were done by the earthquake and all that. Oh, well, you know what? You spat in my face all the time. So, no. I want him to say that so freaking badly. Don't give California or any blue state any money if they say, boo-hoo, Trump's a racist. Oh, just go ahead and spit on the American flag. Did you all see what happened at that Colorado Center?
Sure did.
Yep.
Oh, I was pissed. I was pissed. I was like, we got to go down there and beat the crap out of those people. But then it's like, no, don't do that, because then you're going to prove them right.
Yeah, you can't respond to violence with violence.
Yes, we can. Hey, thanks for
it's
calling,
frustrating
Sean.
that I see that.
Hang in there. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Sean
Peace
from
out.
California, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get back in. I got a ton of stuff here. Just a quick media fake news watch. NBC Wall Street Journal poll, Trump trailing top Democrat candidates. And then another poll, Megan Rapinoe beats Trump in hypothetical presidential race. Anybody who still believes any of this stuff's nuts. I mean, I just put it in there for how foul it is, for how wrong it is. Anybody who could believe that any one of those Democrats or the bull dagger that's in the, I shouldn't say that, the soccer player that looks like a dude would win the presidency is ridiculous.
You mean Kaepernick's husband?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, she had purple hair today.
Yeah, that's lovely. Well, the thing is, I mean, we've already proven once that the polls mean absolutely nothing, right? Because they only take the polls on the two coasts, right? And basically New York and California. And of course, President Trump's not going to win in New York or California, and we know that, because they don't call the rest of the states in between. Because if they did, they thought they cried the last time. This is going to be such a monumental landslide.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's going to be unheard of, because there's nobody on the Democratic side that has half a clue. I mean, it's just, well,
listen to what
we got to keep the show moving, so I got to try and rein it in.
What Democrat Ayanna Pressley, one of the four, said to an audience: we need no more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. Now, there's a lady saying that, which means that we don't want to hear any black people talk good about Trump. But what about Trump? And what about the black unemployment rate? You know, what about the second chance movement? You know, what about fighting immigration? Illegal immigration. I watched about an hour-long YouTube video today of a walk-away movement town hall. And this was back in March, but it was in Harlem. It was on 125th Street in a theater that Magic Johnson provided the funding for. And you should have heard these people, man. They were so mad about this, you know, and other things of being stereotyped. That's basically saying you can't think for yourself. That's really offensive to me. And she meant it when she said it. You know, the racism on the left is horrible. It's destructive. It's turned our inner cities and some other areas of the country into what they are today. And it stems from what you said. The African American, the hyphenated America, plays a big role in that.
Well, the other part too, Hutch, is Omar is one of those that is a known Islamist, and the Nation of Islam is one of the few religions in the world that still has black slaves. All these people that run to it, like Kaepernick, that say, "Oh, you know, I'm a Muslim now," and all this hypocrisy and all this stuff against the black man. Dude, your religion still encourages black slavery.
Yeah, there's Arabs are still capturing and maintaining black African slaves. A lot of them in Africa, in Tunisia and some other places. You know, so that's true.
Funny they don't talk about that.
Never do. Let's listen to Lindsey Grahamnesty. He checked the political winds and felt that it was okay. Today be an okay day to basically almost support the president.
We all know that AOC and this crowd are a bunch of communists. They hate Israel. They hate our own country. They're calling the guards along our border, the Border Patrol agents, concentration camp guards. They accuse people who support Israel of doing it for the Benjamins. They're anti-Semitic. They're anti-America. Don't get down. Aim higher. We don't need to know anything about them personally. Talk about their policy.
Lindsey, and you're going to hear the president disagree with you here in a minute, but let me do it first. This is what we need more of. We need more frank discussion, not bullshit political speak like comes out of your yap every day. Now, I will commend you for calling them communists. I welcome the word communist into the lexicon of the political speak, because that's an easy one, especially for people like us, for Cold Warriors. You know, this is something that's, personally, myself, I fought against communism my entire adult life, all over the world, in the freezing cold, in the snow, you know, overnight outside for 33 years. And now I have a communist that's the mayor of my city. And I've got these communists running through Congress. No, Lindsay, you're wrong. It's time to come at it hard, and it's time to come at it factually. And if somebody wants to get all upset because they're a white person and they think everybody's a racist, let them. It's time to fight back.
I mean, if you take a look at the stuff that they're talking about, right, and they call themselves progressive, there's no difference between progressive and communist. It's just the name. That goes back to my labels thing. It's just a label, but it's still communism. They put it in a prettier bow and they call it something different, but it's still communism.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back to the clips. They're beautiful.
Great soldiers to Al Qaeda. When you see the World Trade Center gets knocked down, and you see the statements made about the World Trade Center, all the death and destruction, I'll tell you what, I'm not happy with them. And it's very easy to say, oh, gee, well, it's okay. If weak politicians want to say, and the Democrats in this case, if they want to gear their wagons around these four people, I think they're going to have a very tough election, because I don't think the people of the United States will stand for it.
Mr. President?
But was it racist? But was it racist? But was it racist?
John, go ahead.
Mr. President,
go ahead, John.
Let me see if I can sum up sort of what people are talking about here.
Even
Does
Fox.
it concern you that tweet was seen as racist? Lindsey Graham said, encouraged you to aim higher. And does it trouble you?
No, he didn't say about that. He just said, don't go. See, I disagree with Lindsey.
Okay, but can I
These are
finish?
congressmen. What am I supposed to do? Just wait for senators? No.
And does
These are
it-
four. So I disagree with Lindsey on that. That was the only thing.
All right.
He said, aim higher, shoot higher. What am I going to do? Wait till we get somebody else in a higher position, a higher office? These are people that hate our country. Hey, John, they hate our country. They hate it, I think, with a passion. Okay. Now, it's possible I'm wrong. The voter will decide. But when I hear the way they talk about our country, when I hear the anti-Semitic language they use, when I hear the hatred they have for Israel and the love they have for enemies like Al-Qaeda, then you know what? I will tell you that I do not believe this is good for the Democrat Party. Certainly, it's not the party that I've known over the years.
But can I just finish?
Mr. President, where should they? Mr. President, where should Mr. President?
Does it concern you that many people saw that tweet as racist, and
God, three times,
white
Fox, three
nationalist
times.
groups are finding common cause with you on that point?
It doesn't concern me because many people agree with me. And all I'm saying, they want to leave, they can leave. Now, it doesn't say leave forever. It says leave if you want. But what it says, what that says is, if they're not happy with the United States, if they're doing nothing but criticizing us all the time, you see these people walking down criticizing the United States, we just hit the highest stock market in history. All of these incredible manufacturers that are in, these are great business people. They employ many people, and we have workers with us too. They're having the best year they've ever had. Can I say that? Is that a correct statement? So, and they're hiring more people than they've ever had, and more people are making a good living than they've ever had. We just hit 20.
And we got to end all that, Ward. We got to end all that prosperity. I can't believe they asked him the same question 3 times. I mean, first of all, you never get 3 questions at a press conference. The guy was completely generous to John.
Oh, yeah.
And look how
and the fact that he has. You're right, Hutch. I mean, it's ridiculous the way that they treat this president. And I mean, even he considers Fox an ally, and Fox is no ally.
It seems like they're changing. They are changing. I mean, especially Chris Wallace, man. Oh, he's horrible. I can't watch him.
Wallace has always been horrible.
I mean, but he was like the replacement for Tim Russert, though. I mean, there wasn't anybody else that was even close. And he's really
well. Now they
let me
got
down.
Juan Williams for that too. Juan Williams is the new Alan Combs.
What a guy! What a guy! Racism, racism, racism. Chuck Todd was on today, and he had Megan Rapinoe, the soccer player who knocked soccer viewership down 43% all by herself. And there was only 12 people watching it to start with. But Chuck Todd had her in an interview, and I listened to this thing. He asked, what would you tell a Trump supporter who loves watching you? And, of course, she didn't answer. But just listen, this is the next president of the United States.
You were talking about at the beginning that you see an opportunity here to preach a message of unity. I think the hardest conundrum that a lot of us are in American politics, whether it's those of us that care about these institutions in this town or otherwhere, is that how do you preach unity and at the same time you don't want to be near President Trump, and I get that. How do you do both?
I'm figuring that out by the day. I think you inspire people.
What do you tell a Trump supporter who loves watching you and is like, I wish you'd go to the White House?
Yeah, I think that I would, try to share our message. Do you, believe that all people are created equal? Do you believe that equal pay should be mandated? Do you believe that everyone should have health care? Do you believe that we should treat everyone with respect? I think those are the basics of what we're talking about. And I understand people feel upset or uncomfortable. There's, I think, some feelings of disrespect about the anthem protest or things that I've said in the past. But ultimately, I think I am here open and honest. I've admitted mistakes. I will continue to do that. I will continue to be vulnerable and be honest and be open and want to have that conversation, because I think Trump's message excludes people that look like me and that are me, of course, but it excludes a lot of people in his base as well. And I think that he's trying to divide so he can conquer, not unite so we can all conquer.
I mean, is it me or is she out to lunch? I mean, she is just, wow.
Well, she's a complete moron, and she got the left all ginned up, and they're all jumping up and down going, equal pay, we need equal pay. That's a great idea, and I think that they should, if they have the same viewership. You could, and here's a perfect example. They say that the women in the WNBA should make as much as men in the NBA. They don't draw as much money. They don't sell as many tickets. They don't put as many asses in the seats. You cannot do it economically.
And the NBA has already subsidized them. They're already paying them. If it wasn't for the NBA, there wouldn't be a WNBA. They're already footing the bill. Just like you said, I mean, the men make billions and the women don't. Nobody wants to watch. I'm not going to say it.
That's the problem. I mean, and they can go out and they can beat the drum and they can jump up and down. Yeah, they won the World Cup. And the 6 other people that watched it cheered them on.
Right.
You're not making that kind of money. I mean, if you were making if you were having that kind of a draw, I could get behind it. This is the same as these people that flip hamburgers and expect $15 an hour. You don't get it. You're not that important.
I told a story when this first happened. My wife and I were in a diner, and she was facing the TV up on the wall, and the game was on, the soccer game, match, whatever it is. And the women won the World Cup. You'd have never known it in that packed diner. Because Ward, in Pittsburgh, if you're in a diner, why you would be in a diner while the Steelers were in the Super Bowl, I have no idea. They're usually empty. But if you were in a public place and the Steelers won the Super Bowl, the place would blow up. I mean, totally blow up.
And the Steelers would score a touchdown. They don't have to win.
Hell, if
they score a touchdown, the place explodes.
If you're in the operating room, man, you know what I mean? They're going to have the game. They're going to have the game on in there. But unbelievable. Now, here I want you to see, you hear all these people with all their righteous indignation over at CNN and other places. But here's how they would deal with it.
Well, I got news for Donald Trump and all of his supporters who feel the same way. This is our country. It is our country as much as it is the Trump's country. And if we're going to start sending people back, I don't know. Listen, Ted Cruz was born in Canada. Marco Rubio's parents were born in Cuba. Melania Trump was born where? Slovenia. How about her parents who are here through family immigration? I am sick of this guy's hypocrisy and his ways of dividing this country, pitting people against each other. And I think it is no coincidence. It is no coincidence that the Congress people he's, picking on are all women of color. Are all women of color.
And as a woman of color yourself, do you believe Donald Trump wants you in this country?
I really couldn't care less what Donald Trump wants. I don't care if he
I don't
wants
want you
me
in this country
or not, because
No.
this is my country. He doesn't get to decide that. I am a naturalized citizen.
And just for the record, coming from a colorless man, these people were selected, as I told you before. These are the Justice Democrats, and they actually had to go through, what do they call it when you're going into a movie? The tryouts or whatever. You know, they got screened, man. I mean, these are people that are reading off a
It's
card.
screen test.
Yeah, they're reading off cards, man. They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, that Omar chick, she married her brother, for Christ's sake.
That's going to come out, too. That is. There's
No, it did come out. And there was a guy that ambushed her and was asking her questions, and she just ignored him.
I saw that.
And there's video of it, of this guy following her for blocks. And he keeps asking her, why did you lie about marrying your brother? Why did you lie? And she would not acknowledge him one way or another. And finally, whoever the guy was that was with
Chief
her,
of Staff. That's who I was talking
jumped
about.
in between and says, "Hey, if you want to talk about this, you can set up a meeting." He's like, "Just answer the question. That's all I want." And she kept walking.
She did, and that's on the video page of SteelCityResistance.com. That clip, it's pretty interesting. Now, I want you to this next clip. I want you to listen, because what I took from this clip, you asked earlier about how is Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib's constituency not freaking out because they're all Muslims. In Somalia, they basically took over District 5 in Minnesota, which includes Minneapolis. And the place doesn't even look like an American city anymore. It looks like little Mogadishu without the sand and the mud. Listen to Democrat Tlaib is from Michigan. I'm not exactly sure where she's from. I'm going to find out. She's probably from Dearborn or Hamtramck. But these are, Muslim majority areas. I want you to listen how she talks to people in this video and tell me if it doesn't sound like Rashida is calling all Muslims.
Hey everyone, it's Rashida. I want you to know that you belong, that this is our country, and no amount of hate-filled bullying from the White House is going to change that. We're going to fight back together, and we're going to become stronger for it. Please know that I'll never back down. No bully, no kind of attack to silence me is going to work. It's actually going to make me work harder for you. So fight back with me. Walk down all the streets of the 13th Congressional District proudly that you have a Congresswoman that is not going to sell us out, that is not going to be quiet while there's a continued assault on our working families.
Sounded like she was talking to her Muslim constituents to me, Ward.
Absolutely was.
Which is almost like an insurgency. I mean, the one city, I'm not sure where the 13th district is, but Hamtramck is Muslim governed. The city council is Muslim majority. I mean, the images are horrific. I mean, it doesn't even look, it used to be Polish town. And now it's, there's mosques and everything. Women walking around in full uniform. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, and Detroit was a great place, Yeah,
back in the 50s.
Yeah,
before the riots.
Yeah, and it's gone progressively. No pun intended. Downhill.
Yeah, well, I mean, the governor was Mitt Romney's father when that all happened, so that's how that works out. Now, the president. I got one more about this. President Trump obliterates Ilhan Omar at the White House and gets massive cheers.
Well, they're very unhappy. I'm watching them. All they do is complain. So all I'm saying is, if they want to leave, they can leave, John. They can leave. I mean, I look at Omar. I don't know. I never met her. I hear the way she talks about Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda has killed many Americans. She said, you can hold your chest out. When I think of America, when I think of Al-Qaeda, I can hold my chest out. When she talked about the World Trade Center being knocked down, some people, you remember the famous some people. These are people that, in my opinion, hate our country. Now, you can say what you want, but get a list of all of the statements they've made. And all I'm saying that if they're not happy here, they can leave. They can leave, and you know what? I'm sure that there'll be many people that won't miss them. But they have to love our country. They're Congress people, and I never used any names. But these are people, quiet. These are people that if they don't like it here, they can leave. And I don't know who's going to miss them, but I guess some people will. One of them is polling at 8%. One of them is polling at 8%. So when I hear people speaking about how wonderful Al-Qaeda is, when I hear people talking about some people with the World Trade Center, some people, no, not some people, much more than some people. When I hear the statements that they've made, and in one case you have somebody that comes from...
So that's it on this. I want to see how far we can go and see if we can get through one incident that the Republicans don't cave in. That's what I'm watching right now. Pat Toomey, we need to mount a real. We got to get somebody else in there. That guy is horrible. He's got to go.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Think about this now. We were talking about, Nancy had to defend them before and blah, 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 blah. Now she has to defend Al-Qaeda. He just tied Al-Qaeda to these checks.
Yeah. And I think that's the election. I think that's the election. I think they've painted themselves into a corner, and I think President Trump is amply able to be able to come out and say, look, this election is about hate America, love America. That's what it is. That's what it's about, and it's going to be a landslide. I mean, I feel that way. I can't wait to see the reaction from the states that tried to get rid of the Electoral College. When President Trump wins the popular vote, which I think he will, what are they going to do? Well, they're pretty much bound to do it anyway now. I mean, but it's just it's something these people move too fast. They are projecting so much that you can tell that they would love to go down the street and lock up conservatives if they could. And they would do it by force. So anyway, there's that. We're going to end the hour. I have another clip, my final clip for the evening, and it's about 6 or 7 minutes long. I usually never play a long clip like this. The original one was 10, and I was able to edit it down. You've heard one part of it before, but this is Mark Dice, and he attended the social media workshop or whatever it was at the White House. And this is his report from there. And there's some things that you didn't hear reported from this event. That's why I kept the length of it. But the first part is how the media, I consider myself, I knew a lot of people that were sitting there. The one guy, I don't know how the hell he got in. They got a bad apple that's in there. I'm not going to mention him, but he looks like Sammy Davis Jr. But he's in there, and I don't know how he got there. He's the biggest fraud I ever saw. But anyway, that being said, a lot of these people were stand-up guys, really, and I consider myself among them. So I wanted to play this for you to see how far we are getting when it comes to radio hosts and bloggers and new media people, basically, that realized early on that Trump was the winning ticket. So let's go to Mark Dice and listen to this report, especially on the media.
MSNBC reported that President Trump hosted a group of conspiracy theorists at the White House for what was dubbed a social media summit. That's fake news, MSNBC, because you and CNN weren't invited.
These folks really, they're marginal figures in many ways, but they were actually quite central to the ways in which vectors of disinformation and memes and attacks on Hillary Clinton and other people seeded into the public consciousness in 2016.
Yeah, I talked to a bunch of disinformation researchers about this meeting and seeing the names that were walking through that door today. And they said, these are the same people that are at the very center of these network graphs. You see the center of the node and then it explodes out with all these other smaller accounts, right? In the public sphere, you may not know their names, but you definitely know the smears that they pushed out.
Hours beforehand, the Southern Poverty Law Center called the meeting a gathering of groups and individuals who have no business at the White House, saying the invite list included conspiracy theorists and...
Why are you having a bunch of people who are at the very least
Ben Shapiro
controversial to the White House in the first place? There are a bunch of people who are at the White House in this particular group of folks who were basically, have been involved in conspiracy theorizing. He's bringing a bunch of people who ought not be at the White House to the White House. It's dumb and frankly, it's wrong.
Even Jimmy Kimmel complained about it.
He held what he called a social media summit at the White House today. So he invited a group of people that included conspiracy theorists, internet trolls, all the worst people who like their own posts, all the worst people on the...
After the social media summit, the president invited us all out to the Rose Garden where he addressed the nation about the upcoming census and the controversy over whether or not the government should be allowed to ask whether or not someone is a citizen of the United States or not. Not only did the president bring us into the Rose Garden for the address, but he kicked the mainstream media reporters out of the seats and gave them to us.
Oh, what's up, guys? Mark Dice here in the Rose Garden at the White House. Can't believe it. Got a bunch of fake news back there, freaking out. Got Carpe Donktum. Carpe Donktum, the greatest meme maker of our time. Right there. Oh, yeah. Brandon Tatum. We've got Fleckus Talks up here in a suit. James O'Keefe dealing some business. Can't wait to see CNN freak out and find out that I'm here.
This reporter named Brian Kareem wasn't happy that we replaced the fake news, so as soon as the president left, he said that we were all prone to demonic possession, which upset Sebastian Gorka, who was one of the guests.
Don't be sad. Don't be sad.
No, I'm just standing around. This is a group of people that are eager for demonic possession.
Demonic possession. You're a journalist, right? That's right.
Hey, come on over here and talk to me, brother. We can go outside and have a long conversation.
You're threatening me now in the White House. In the Rose Garden. You're threatening me in the Rose Garden.
Get him!
You are a punk. You're not a journalist. You're a punk.
Go home.
Journalist,
go home. Hey, Gorka, get a job.
Hey, just for the record, he'd kick your...
The fake news then reported that Trump's social media summit nearly descended into a brawl in the Rose Garden and blamed Sebastian Gorka. They also said that, quote, another attendee of the social media summit, Mark Dice, a right-wing pundit, also shouted at CNN's Jim Acosta as he walked by the press corps. Vox, not Fox, Vox with a V, then reported that I verbally harassed Jim Acosta and shouted at him and ridiculed the fact that his book only spent 2 weeks on the bestsellers list. First of all, I wasn't shouting at him, I was talking to him, and second of all, I didn't mention anything about his book falling off the bestseller list after 2 weeks. It was 2 days.
Hey, Jim, how come your book didn't make it above the top 50 on Amazon's bestseller list?
It was a New York Times bestseller.
Well, that's an honorary title, of course. It fell off the
Wall
Amazon
Street Journal bestseller.
It fell off the Amazon
USA Today bestseller was also a bestseller in Canada.
It fell off the Amazon top one.
Yourself.
It fell off the Amazon top 100 list after 2 days. So.
How does it feel to live in your mother's basement?
Actually, I make my videos in my kitchen, which get about a third of the views of your mainstream shows.
Your mother's kitchen?
It's my kitchen. That's fun, Jim.
Let's be respectful.
All right.
This is the White House.
Well, I will. Have a nice
your
life.
Mother's basement.
No, it's my kitchen, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah. Where I get a third of the viewers of Anderson Cooper, and I'm just a guy on a laptop.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
And when I stopped recording and put my phone back in my pocket and started walking away, he then said something like, good luck with your book, and we had a little back and forth, and so I pulled my phone back out and started recording and caught the tail end of that conversation.
Oh, I sent you a copy, actually, at CNN.
I didn't.
This is not the time or the place.
I think that went into file 13.
Hey, any resemblance to you on the cover is strictly a coincidence and unintentional.
Say hi to your mom for me.
Yeah. You got a great writer, Jim. You're coming up with some real great ones.
I met a lot of cool people, including Carpe Donktum, James O'Keefe, David Harris Jr., Brandon Tatum, and many others. But I do have one regret. I was just too well behaved. I really should have let Jim Acosta have it. But I was a guest at the White House, so I thought I would behave myself. But God is great, and the next day when I was hanging out outside of the White House with my new friends, guess who came walking on by? Jim Acosta. Here's just a small sample of that video, but you'll have to check back tomorrow to see the whole thing.
And this just shows you how arrogant you are about the new social media technology.
It would be great if you could find a gainful career besides what you're
writing
doing right
best-selling
now.
books and becoming a top YouTuber and
you're just
being a
harassing
social
people out on the
influencer,
street. I mean,
supporting the
it's a
president,
hell of a life.
debunking fake news
It's
from
a
the
hell of a
Clown
life
News
that you
Network.
carved out for yourself.
It is fantastic. I'm living the dream, Jim. It's amazing. God has blessed me with so much.
If that's
This is
what
a
you call it.
divine appointment, Jim.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear. You're a hell of an American, and it seems like what you're doing out here is making a real difference. So
Oh, thank you so much. It really is. I feel that every day.
Fellow YouTubers David Harris Jr. and Brandon Tatum were with me and can confirm that as soon as I stopped recording and put my phone back in my pocket, Jim Acosta shouted at me as loud as he could for me to F off right in front of the tourists, including families with children who were hanging out in front of the White House. You'll see in tomorrow's video that I even extended a handshake to Jim Acosta as we parted ways because, quite frankly, I feel sorry for him, but he just wasn't having it. As the sort of YouTube ambassador at the White House Social Media Summit, I'm confident that I represented us well. And this wasn't just for show. This is the beginning of something very big. And a big thanks to all of you guys.
All right. So I know that was a little bit long, but I thought it was worth it to see that. You didn't hear that Jim Acosta story in the news, and I like the way Mark Dice handled himself. He didn't make a total fool out of himself, and Jim Acosta is just a jerk. There's not a whole lot of other ways to characterize that. It's something that I don't really remember I don't remember him before the president. Before President Trump, I never watched CNN.
No, because he made a name for himself being a jagoff. He goes out and he badmouths the president, and then he tries to stand up and bully his way, in the press conferences and whatnot. He's a poor excuse for a human being. And I don't say that about a lot of people, but he is a complete wogo.
Yeah, him and the other guy stuck.
I haven't done this before. Yeah, he is a wogo, complete waste of oxygen.
Yes, he is. No doubt about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Cold War Radio, the Steel City Resistance episode, or I guess that's what you call it, with Ward Miller and Hutch Bailey Jr. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Cold War Radio.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. And this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented, and the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefits of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
AOC, how I explain her? She really make my brain hurt. She always need a Twitter page to save her. I'm really sick of her. She always spitting gibberish. I wasn't gonna diss you till you talked about my militants. You said my veterans are better off just sitting in line outside the VA when the waiting has been killing us. We wanna visit a private doctor or physician, but you say the VA isn't broken, so don't go fix it in. Girl, you tripping? You go tell that to the veterans. That in front of the veterans affair without the medicine. This is nonsense, it's not about law or politics. This is for all my veterans sweating out in the hottest. If you really are that somebody who never went and about the sick. How could you ever talk about medical? We ought to get. I see you move your lips, but it never make no sense. You need to play your documentary on Netflix. Cause like CBS, AOC don't know ABCs. BETs are not 1, 2, 3, 3 just be sing. So you can cut the script that you read for the public. And with a puppet in front of us, fronting it really make me sick of AOC. Yeah, you know me. Sick of AOC. Yeah, you know me. You sick of AOC. Yeah, you know me. This one my BET. Every last on me.
And welcome back to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Hutch Bailey Jr., with my co-host, Ward Miller, both from Pittsburgh, the Steel City Resistance episode of the program, 412-206-6208. If you'd like to contact the show, or call the show, rather, become part of the conversation tonight. I was talking a little bit about this poll earlier, Ward. Democrat operatives say Ocasio-Cortez media coverage could derail party in 2020. Now, this is an internal poll. This is not the BS polls like I quoted at the beginning of the show. This is the internal Democrat poll. Top Democrats are quietly circulating a poll from May. This is back from May, not even considering the malfeasance that occurred in the last few days, showing swing state voters are tying New York Representative Alexandria Cortez's brand of progressive liberalism with the mainstream Democratic Party, Axios reported Sunday. Those distributing the poll say swing state voters know and dislike socialism, with some operatives warning that the connection could cost the Democrat Party the House and the presidency. One operative lamented the oversized amount of media coverage Ocasio-Cortez and her progressive colleagues are attracting. And you know, the thing, Ward, is they're all communist. You've just got smart old ones and dumb young ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Bernie Sanders keeps saying that he's a socialist. He's not a socialist. He's a communist. And that's what I was saying before about the whole name thing. I mean, it's still a pig. Call a pig a pig. I mean, that was one of the events of the show. We call a pig a pig. A socialist is a communist. They want to take all your stuff and give it to everybody else. That's communism, period. You know, socialism is just the communist that hasn't grown up.
Yeah, they call it the speed bump to communism, is what socialism is.
Exactly.
If all voters hear about is AOC, it could put the House majority at risk. But guess what? We got a gift, because it's not just AOC now. Now it's Ilhan Omar with her burqa, or whatever that's called, her Somalian headdress, and Rashida Tlaib, who's a Palestinian and wore a Palestinian Liberation Organization scarf when she won in celebration. So it's just a gift. More than 74% of voters in the poll recognized Ocasio-Cortez, with 22% of people surveyed holding a favorable view. 22%. This is an internal Democrat poll.
Apparently, she has some kind of stroke with them, because, you know, they're all trying to court her. You know, Bernie's running around, and anything she says, he's basically all over it. You know, I think Joe Biden took a hit when she came out against him, and I think that Bernie's seen that and said, "Hey, you know what? I got to get her to be on my good side." Now, the fact that she's a complete moron doesn't help anything. And it's, you know, I mean, basically you're going to be the head rat that's going to drown. I mean, you're not going to beat President Trump. It doesn't matter which one it is, but she's going to ruin it the beauty of it is she's going to screw over Congress and the Senate. So we should flip everything back red, you know, this time around. Anyway.
Maybe we can hold the Republicans to doing something this time. More than 74% of voters in the poll recognized Ocasio-Cortez. No, that's not what I wanted to say. A Democrat rep Ilhan Omar of Minnesota received a similar level of fanfare among those polled. She was recognized by 53% of the voters, but with only 9% of people holding a favorable view. And the other thing that came up in the poll is that Americans know what socialism is, and they don't like it. Something that's kind of new. Let's go to Bill from Indiana. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Hutch. Hey, Ward.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Okay. One, let me say something real quick. I listen to you because you are so spot on the point.
Well, thank you.
You see what's going on, and you put it out there, and you don't give a damn how you say it or who you say it to. You just tell the truth.
That's pretty true.
And I respect that. Well, after last night, you're about the only one I'll listen to on Spreaker. I can't even log in now. It's not even, tell everybody in chat I said hi.
You can't get into Spreaker. What, are you being banned or?
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. It just keeps running and running and running and won't let me.
Let me ask you this. Are you using Chrome?
No, Firefox.
Oh, usually it works with Firefox.
I don't use.
Yeah, I'm using
Google
Firefox. And I'm in.
Okay, but go on.
Anyway, I had a lot of respect for Rod, but he said something last night. I was so pissed off, I threw my laptop across the room. Rod, on that thing you played last night afterwards. Amash is no great conservative or libertarian or whatever.
No, he's a plant.
Yeah, he is absolutely a plant.
Half Syrian and half Palestinian with his company in China.
Exactly. And when he popped off, I just love this guy. He's a great, and I'm like, what?
Well, to each his own, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, good Lord. But you guys are so spot on tonight. I mean, you just knocked them out of the park. This crap, what the president said, I'm behind him 100 gazillion%.
I am too.
If you, these people, these congresswomen, and one, let me tell you something. I'm a person of color too. Last time I looked in my damn crayons, white was a color.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing we're not white.
Yeah, that's true. Well, in the wintertime, I could damn near be solid white.
I hear you.
But, I am so sick of this person of color. It's sickening.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is.
But that goes back to, that's how they have to define you. I mean, everybody, that goes back to what I was saying before. They have to divide us. And if we don't bend to their division and start saying, hey, you know what? It's not an African-American. That's an American.
That's right.
And we start being Americans and acting American, this, division isn't going to be fun. It's going to be fruitful for them.
Well, that's absolutely right. And you hit it spot on with Mark Dice a few minutes ago, because most of them guys there at the White House not only tell the truth, but they're Christians.
Yeah. Most of them, that's true.
And this is a spiritual warfare we're battling also. Not just for our country, but it's a spiritual warfare also against the stinking Muslims and Americans and the Jews and all across the world.
And I think that's the next. I think that is the next topic that needs to be addressed properly. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that this is a topic. I listened, and Valerie will get to you in a second. I listened to Rush Limbaugh today for a couple minutes, and to watch him or to listen to him, he could not. He had an article. He actually played one of the same clips that we played, but then he also played the clip when Ilhan Omar actually was at a CARE rally and said the thing about 9/11. And then he proceeded to butcher what CARE stands for. Rush Limbaugh doesn't even know what CARE stands for. It's the Council for American and Islamic Relations. And he called it something the first time, and the second time, and throughout the rest of the segment, he called it the Council for Arab Islamic Relations. And it's like, come on, Rush, you're the guy, man. This is a spiritual...
He should have called it
he
should have called it a terrorist organization, because that's what they are.
He said something a little later in his program, because he said he's having an off day. And I think he was more upset about how they were attacking. Now, I'm not making an excuse for him, but
my point wasn't to belittle him. My point was that we've stayed away from this conversation for too long.
Yes, we have.
We've sit there and we've tried to rationalize these savages into being something that they're not. The only reason that they're here is to take over. That's the only reason.
Hutch, what happened after 9/11 when they was telling us about all the damn sleeper cells that's here in America now?
And they are.
Nobody brings that up.
No, they think that this is a moral equivalency thing, to where these people are morally equivalent to the rest of us, and it's just not true. And I don't give a damn what their skin color is. The Chechens are the worst, most violent, vile Muslims on the planet, and they're white with red hair.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a skin color thing at all.
No, I'd rather have 100 Arab Muslims here than 5 of them. Those guys are the real deal.
Yeah, and it's scary. It's scary because they're dancing around everything else because nobody wants to bring it up.
Well, that goes back to political correctness, Bill. I mean, you can't say nothing. I mean, everything nowadays it's feelings. It has nothing to do with right or wrong, good, bad. It's, did I hurt your feelings? Did I validate your feelings? And it used to be, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, that's gone out the window. I don't think they even teach that in school anymore. Probably they teach, sticks and stones may break your bones, but run and tell the teacher as soon as someone looks at you crooked.
And if you're white, don't even come in if you're white. You just deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Bill. I got Valerie on the on deck circle. Okay. I got to go. Thanks for calling, sir.
Okay, take care. God bless.
73.
Take it easy, Bill.
Valerie from Boca Raton. Hello.
Hello, Hutch. Hello, Wardy. I had a friend today send me this video of all these young Jewish kids holding up signs saying, "Never again, never again." Now, I almost never write anything on Twitter. I'll look at stuff, I'll retweet, but I never write anything. And today I was so fired up. I wrote and I said, how can the young Jewish Democrats, and there's their first mistake, stand up and equate the border with the death camps of Germany and say never again? First of all, it was not the Americans that had the death camps. It was Germany and the Nazi Party.
And the Muslims.
Which was a socialist party.
Yeah. And these young kids are equating what's happening at the border with never again.
Well, Valerie, I think part of that problem is they don't understand. They're not taught history in the first place.
Exactly.
And in the second place, you have these prominent people like AOC coming out calling them concentration camps. The only problem with her argument is there's no concentration camp ever built that you could leave. Those people are not there against their will. They have every opportunity to leave the country. I mean, we are not holding them there. We're just keeping them from running loose.
And I often step back and I say to myself, even if, let's say, we held the Native American Indians in their places or the Japanese for a period of time, the bottom line is it wasn't us. It wasn't me. It wasn't you. It wasn't Hutch. It wasn't Marlene. It wasn't Ken. It wasn't Bill. It wasn't us. When are we going to grow up and move on and take the bull by the horns and shift this gear? And the only way to do it is to educate the younger generation, because this is sheer stupidity happening in the streets right now. Everyone is going crazy. They're insane.
All right, let me just. I want to put my 2 cents into this, because this is an issue that I think we cede on much too quickly. I want you to imagine us in the 1930s, late 1930s, and early 1940s, and Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin and Benito Mussolini had taken off on a campaign to capture the entire Western world, and they were well on their way of doing it. And then the Japanese army decided that we were playing a little too hard with the trade game, so they decided to try to eliminate our Navy. And then they were already in the midst of a campaign where they had captured Korea, and they were torturing Chinese in Nanking and other places. My point is, I'd have put them in camps too. And I think we too quickly we say what a horrible thing that was that the Democrats did. Well, okay, you can say that now, but you have to remember that back then we didn't know we were going to win that war. We were by ourselves.
Well, and at the same time, you don't. It's like anything else. I mean, the fact that they're Americans, you don't know what they, were they seated here? Were they, were they spies?
Now it would be worse, because now we have immigrants, quote unquote immigrants, that come in this country and they don't even assimilate. I mean, they don't even have the common decency or manners to speak our language in front of us. So I don't, when I see a San Francisco city council and there's 2 white people on the whole council and the rest of them aren't black, they're freaking from other countries, and they speak with accents. And I sit there and I think, do these people love America? Look at what they're doing to San Francisco and California. You can't love a place and treat it the way these people do.
And then you have the 4 horsewomen in Congress.
Well, that's a good name. I like that.
Like that?
Yeah, that's
yes. Can we keep that? Can we use that?
Yeah.
The 4
thank you.
The 4 horsemen of the Democrat apocalypse is what they're called.
Exactly.
But they're the horsewomen.
Yes.
But don't call them horse faces, because Paul Ryan will take offense.
Uh-oh.
Paul Ryan will be
never
offended.
Say that. Never.
Heaven forbid Paul Ryan's offended. I think he's a woman too.
Sorry. We won't go there tonight. But thank you
Yeah,
guys for
my
taking
bad.
my call. Enjoy the rest of the show. Hi, Bill. Sorry you don't have the Spreaker chat room tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know how he's listening.
Well, I guess he can listen and he just can't type. But I've heard that from other people.
All right, well, put in a trouble ticket. Support at Spreaker.com. Support at Spreaker.com. They have a real good team in there that will respond to you. So make sure somebody writes that in the chat room, please. Thanks, Valerie.
Good night, family. Take care.
Love hearing from you. All right, Valerie from Boca Raton.
Take it easy.
Florida, ladies and gentlemen, 412-206-6208. Ward, you sent me something pretty interesting. One of the things that scares me more than any Democrat vote or politician and his popularity at the polls is how damn criminal they are in manipulating these polls. You brought something to me about 38 states. Hit it.
Yeah, these 38 states have more registered voters than they have adult citizens. And here's just a ton of them. California has 1,736,556 more registered voters than adult citizens. Michigan has 225,235 more registered voters than citizens. Georgia has 190,000. We can go on. I mean, on and on. It's terrifying that there's over almost 2 million people in California that are
That's just in the
registered
top
voters
10.
more than they have sitting. This is only the top 10 of the 38. And just we'll round off the states. It's California, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Iowa, Washington, Colorado, Illinois, Florida, and Virginia.
Got to do something about that. Yeah. We can't. I mean, it's a damn shame when we have to get 150 to win something that's supposed to be at 100. You know, and that's the way it is all the time.
Yeah.
We're not only dealing with some of our votes being missed and lost and things like that, but now we've got to go
negated.
All these people that aren't there. Surely we can figure it out. All right, I got a couple callers on the line. I think I'm going to take them both at the same time because of the time. So I'll introduce you in order. Let's go to Eugene, Oregon, and welcome Maureen. Hello, Maureen.
Hey, hi, Ward.
Marlene, I'm sorry.
Hey, how you doing?
Maureen.
I'm doing great.
And we also have Regina from Richmond. Hello, Regina.
Hello, Hutch.
Okay, what's on your mind, Marlene?
Hello, Marlene. Oh, yeah, I won't be too long. I was just, no, let's see. We were talking about the Holocaust. I just finished reading, it took me a while, but it was worth it, Diane West's book about American betrayal. And toward the end, she talks about how the New York Times basically didn't report much of what was going on during the Holocaust. They stuck it on the back pages.
And you know, the thing about that, if you look at, there's a mini-series out there, Herman Wouk's War and Remembrance. There's two of them. The first one is Winds of War, and the second one is War and Remembrance. It's one of the best films that I've ever seen on World War II, and it covers what you're talking about. There were reporters that were embedded, not reporters. There were people that were embedded, and embedded's the wrong word too. I'm sorry. There was POWs in these concentration camps that figured out a way to take pictures, and they took pictures and they smuggled them out, and they got to the United States and they got to the White House, and they got to the networks, and it is absolutely disgusting how these Democrats hid this stuff for years. No telling how many people could have been saved if we would have attacked this as soon as we knew about it.
Yeah, of course they did the same thing with the whole thing with the what was it? What happened in Russia with the can't remember it. Something Forest Katyan or whatever the heck it was.
Bataclan?
The whole chapter about how the whole thing about the New York, they do a whole chapter. She does like a whole chapter and a half about this. I just thought it was crazy. But another thing too is that I can we were playing that clip about when Trump was saying, if you don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I feel exactly the same way that he does.
Me too.
Yeah, it's like if they don't like this country, then what in the snot are they still doing here?
And you watch these
people.
people.
It irritates me. The thing that bothers me about it is there was so many people that said if Trump gets elected, I'm leaving. They're still here.
I was getting to that. Yes, they are still here.
Yes.
They are. It's like, what? Makes you wonder if they were just blowing their mouths, or, blowing smoke.
Absolutely, because they didn't think for 1 second that he was going to win. They thought that they could run their mouths, pound their chest, and then Hillary would win, and they could just say, well, I said I'd do it. Now he won, and it's like, well, when are you going to do it?
Yeah, I know. I'm still wondering that, too. When are they going to do it? When don't they get the heck out of here? They have enough money.
Yep, and that's a part of the reason why I'm calling. I'm calling something because to get something off my chest because it's been bothering me for years now.
All right, it's your time. It's your turn. Go ahead.
Let me see if I can put this correct. Because for years I've been hearing what I call so-called African Americans scream and yell and say that when they say go back to the country, they get offended by it. And they don't realize that they're not African American anymore. They're more or less American, Black American.
African American, that shouldn't be used for us now, because I feel that offend me, because my family is generational Black American. That means my father was American. My mother was American. My grandmother was American. My grandfather was American. My great-great-grandmother was American. Nobody in my family speaks a foreign language or has an accent. Because when I was growing up, there was no African stuff in my family. It was all country Black American. That's how I grew up. And then I'm getting tired of Black people getting offended. Like today with Trump, because I was on Twitter, had a lot of people have feelings about that, and they was screaming and yelling, saying that I'm offended by that because of how I grew up. And I'm like going, you grew up Black American. unless your father was or mother was from a different country, then that means that, yes, I can kind of sort of get that. But I grew up as an American, generational Black American. That's what I have on my Twitter page now.
I'll tell you, Regina.
So that kind of sort of confuses people, because it kind of sort of frustrates me every time I hear it. I understand a lot of people keep saying African American, but Charlize Theron is African American.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I agree with you. That's exactly what it is.
Well, so, it goes back to...
And right now, the other part that upsets me is that right now, there's white African Americans they're being slaughtered.
That's true in South America or South Africa. You're right.
Because the Black Africans want to farm and the land and stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
And they get slaughtered. But they are not classified as African Americans. They classify them as white. And they're not they don't live in the United States of America. So, in my opinion, they're not white.
Well, if you look at who caused a lot of what is going on in South Africa today, it was the Democrats and some Republicans' hero, Nelson Mandela. I mean, this guy went down as a saint. I even think Bush was there. I'm not sure. But this guy was he was a monster.
Yeah.
He was a communist. The African National Congress is one of the worst communist organizations and racist organizations on the planet. And he was arrested for terrorism and was
in a way I kind of sort of grown up not liking him, because one, he was an American. So if you're not American, then I take issue with you.
He lost me when his wife made the necklace famous. I don't know if you remember that, but his wife, Winnie Mandela, ran the African National Congress for a while. And her favorite...
Yeah, she was a criminal, too.
Her favorite tactic to keep people in line was the necklace. And what the necklace was they would take somebody who was speaking against communism, and they would put a tire around his neck or her neck that was soaked in kerosene, and then they would light it on fire. And they wouldn't let...
I remember that.
And now this guy's on fire.
I do remember that too.
That's Nelson Mandela right there. But they went, Obama and all the white liberals went to his funeral where they made fools out of him because the guy that was doing the hand signals, the
interpreter, the sign language interpreter.
But come to find out he wasn't a real interpreter.
Right. But all these world leaders are right there. They let him get in somehow. But anyway, I agree with what you're saying. I've never used the term.
So that's why I called it a little bit ticked off, because I get a little bit tired of Black Americans keep associate themselves with African Americans when they're not.
Well, I listened to something.
In my opinion, that kind of sort of died out in the 70s.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, before them,
but they weren't. They weren't African Americans then. They were Afro Americans, if you recall.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Because I'm old enough to remember that.
Yeah, and the other thing that kind of sort of ticks me off that that Black Americans do is I should say reporters keep saying that we all are immigrants, but some of us were slaves.
But
and
guess
that's
what?
Not immigrants.
Let me handle that one too. Guess what? Everybody that's here right now, no, we're not immigrants. We're citizens, damn it. We're citizens.
Exactly.
America is a country of citizens, not of immigrants. We are a country of citizens. We spilled enough blood. We spilled enough of our blood on this country and all over the lands of other countries. This is our country, and we're not immigrants. We're citizens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They keep saying that.
Thank you guys for the call. It's Marlene in Eugene and Regina in Richmond, some of my favorite women. God bless you. Thanks for calling.
Oh, okay, you're welcome.
Take it easy.
There it is. Okay. Man, a little fired up at the end of the show here. 412-206-6208. That's what we like to hear. Give us a call. We want to know how you're feeling. I certainly, I heard, and the only reason I didn't say it during the call was because I can't remember if it came from Thomas Sowell or if it came from this other economist. I can't even remember his name. But one of the two, they're both black men, both highly successful. And the one was on the radio, whoever said this, and they said, when I get asked, he had a caller, and the caller asked him, how can you be conservative with the history of slavery in this country, Ward? And you know what this guy said? And he didn't miss a beat. He said, well, if I look at my life honestly, and this guy is like a highly economic professor at George Mason University. I mean, he's made it. This guy is iconic. And he tells him, he says, if I look at my life truthfully, slavery is the best damn thing that ever happened to me. He said, if it wasn't for my family sacrificing in that way, I'd be in the sugarcane fields in Nairobi somewhere right now. And he had a valid point. You look at some of the people in the American black community, and you look at how they're living, and it just spits on their ancestors, man. It's like, come on, man, you got to take the next step. Your people have come so far, and you're going to languish in this shithole of a Democrat city ghetto and talk bad about the president for $150 a week or however much they dole out. I don't know how much. It's like heroin, the money they dole out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, the media is what's the word I'm looking for? Is the catalyst that's driving all this garbage.
Yeah, they are.
Because for the longest time, the media has told us what you can say and what you can't say. You can't say anything negative about somebody because you're going to hurt their feelings and it's going to be bad and et cetera. I mean, I've already gone down that road, but the media's it's what's pulling us apart, because prior to Obama being elected, race relations in this country were pretty good. I mean, you had you had dust ups and stupid stuff, but for the most part, race relations were pretty good. And then Obama got elected, and I don't know what happened that flipped the switch on that. But all of a sudden, race relations went down the tubes so quick, and I still can't figure out why.
Well, this is, this is Steel City Resistance. So let's talk about something that you're talking about that happened locally. Because it's not just Obama. It's all of Obama's foot soldiers, too, like Bill Peduto in Pittsburgh. We had a police call came over the radio about a drive-by shooting. And, of course, they described the car and the actors. And a police officer came across this car. And he pulled it over. And if I get any of these details wrong, Ward, correct me. Pulled him over. And this is in the context of a BOLO call, a be on the lookout call for this car, just involved minutes earlier in a drive-by shooting. So he executed a felony stop on his car, which is designed to protect him and to neutralize the threat. And when he does, the driver gets out, does what he's told, and the passenger gets out and runs. Now, if you know anything about a drive-by shooting, the driver's not doing the shooting. The passenger is, or passengers.
Yeah, usually.
This guy breaks out running, and the cop whacks him. He stops him. Now, in the cop's mind, this is a drive-by shooter who's probably armed, and when you have an armed suspect running from the law, from a felony stop, the public is in danger at that point. This is when people get their cars carjacked.
Shot.
This is when they get shot so somebody can get your car so they can get away from the cops. And our mayor came out, and initially, I think this happened in East Pittsburgh, if I'm not forgetting.
Yeah, it wasn't even Pittsburgh.
Right. So his first response was, "Not my jurisdiction. I have no comment." 5 minutes later, this police officer needs to be charged and needs to have a trial. And the police officer was tried and he was acquitted. And the mayor stuck with this bullshit story that immediately polarized this area and turned blacks against whites right now. And Ward, he took the wrong side because he wanted the division.
He always takes the wrong side. He always takes the wrong side. He's never been, if there's ever been any civil unrest, he will always side with the wrong side.
Against the police. And I got some news for you, Billy. I have it on a good source that the police department and the fire department and part of public works hate your ass. And I wish one of you would come out of the shadows and run against them, because I'll support you. If you're not a communist and you don't hate the police and fire department and you love your country, I'll support you on this show. I'll bring you on for nothing. You come on and talk all day, because these people got to go, man. They have got to go. He went to numerous marches and events where they bullied young white school kids, grade school kids, into saying, "Oh, we're so sad. It's so terrible that this young child was murdered in cold blood by the police." Bill Peduto, you are a devil.
Well, the thing that gets me is always. It doesn't matter which shooting case you take. You take the Anton Rose case. You take the one in Florida, what was his name?
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, Trayvon Martin, or the kid in
I lost track, man.
Missouri. Yeah, there was the one in Missouri. But, I mean, it was all the same thing. The bottom line is, if you whenever and this goes back to my whole media thing. The media shows these pictures of these kids when they were 12 years old, and they look angelic, for God's sake. And, they don't show the pictures that the kids post on Facebook where they're holding a 9mm, gangster style pointed at the camera and shit. It's always he was such a good student when he was 6. Well, he's 19 now, and he's dealing heroin, for Christ's sake.
He's got a tattoo across his face.
Exactly. So that's the problem, is the media, and then the media gins it up because then they show, we got this new footage. And they edit the footage to not show you pretty much the whole picture, just what fits their narrative.
It's criminal. Absolutely criminal. I want to cover one more thing tonight. And, Ward, sometimes I say, sometimes we need 3 hours, but we're good. I want to cover this last thing, though. Because this is really interesting. And it's got to be scaring some people badly. Trump plotted Clinton Epstein takedown for years. Knew about Clinton Island photos. This is by Patrick Howley. It's published 2 days ago. President Donald Trump plotted his takedown of accused child trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's elite inner circle during the 2016 election, convening a meeting with then National Enquirer owner David Pecker. Notice who they just threw.
That's an unfortunate name.
Yeah, but look who they just threw
Such
an
an
affidavit for the Senate Intelligence Committee, David Pecker. Prior to Trump's comment at CPAC 2015 about how Bill Clinton has a Jeffrey Epstein problem. Vanity Fair reports Trump had been following the story closely. In the week or so leading up to his CPAC speech, David Pecker, who owned the Enquirer until it was sold in ruin earlier this year, visited Trump on the 26th floor of Trump Tower, bringing along an issue with a Prince Andrew and Epstein-related cover, according to people familiar with the meeting. Pecker, of course, was in the business of protecting Trump. Pecker, he later told me, used to send him articles and issues before they were published so that he and Trump could read them. After the meeting, Trump called in Sam Nunberg, then a Trump Organization employee, who saw Pecker leaving Trump's office. Michael was sitting in there when I came in, and the issue of the National Enquirer with the pictures of Prince Andrew was on his desk, Nunberg recalled. He said not to tell anyone, but that Pecker had just been there and had brought the issue with him. Trump said that Pecker had told him that the picture of Clinton that Epstein had from his island, the pictures of Clinton that Epstein had from his island were worse. Interesting. This was well known to close observers. In 2015, I exclusively reported that Jeffrey Epstein pleaded the fifth when asked about his friendship with Bill Clinton. I told Steve Bannon about Jeffrey Epstein's Clinton connections on Breitbart Radio early in the 2016 primary, noting that Bill Clinton was aboard a plane to Epstein's Orgy Island. Big League Politics reported documents released by the FBI pertaining to Clinton-connected pedophile Jeffrey Epstein show that the known child predator had a professional relationship with then FBI Director Robert S. Mueller. Epstein has also provided information to the FBI as agreed upon, says one of the court documents. Case agent advised that no federal prosecution will occur in this matter as long as Epstein continues to uphold his agreement with the state of Florida. Now, this makes a lot of things a little clearer, Ward.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's part of the intelligence community. They also found a passport in his safe, which I'm sure all those pictures of Clinton are in, but a passport with a fake name, with his picture,
it wasn't his name,
with his picture, saying that his residence, his primary residence, was Saudi Arabia. Bill Barr, I hope God is looking out for you. God, please look out for Bill Barr and guide him as he takes down these monsters in and out of the government.
Well, that's actually what happened when they, because the bail hearing was supposed to be today, I believe, and the prosecutors,
they kept him in jail.
Well, the prosecutors were. That's how they argued it, because they said, "Well, look, he's a flight risk. He's a multi-billionaire. He's got, his own. He's got 2 planes, and now we proved he got a fake passport, a stack of cash, and a fistful of diamonds. So, yeah, we think he's going to be a flight risk." So, and the thing is, it's probably in his best interest not to get kicked free, because at that point he's going to have to commit suicide.
Yeah, he's a dead man walking, no matter how you look at it. I mean, this guy, I could see. I never had any love for anyone in the intelligence community. That's why I came out against General Flynn before he got in trouble, because I just don't trust these people. Now, I've since changed my mind about one guy, about General Flynn. But let me tell you that there's no doubt in my mind that Epstein's Island could have been a deep state operation. When you look at Judge Roberts at Supreme Court, what's his title? The
Chief Justice,
Grand Poobah of the Supreme Court. When he went through those machinations to deem Obamacare constitutional, I knew something was wrong. Maybe he was there. Maybe his wife was there. Who knows?
Yeah, I really
and I don't mean I don't necessarily mean specifically there. But what if he fell in one of these traps? I've long thought Jeff Sessions. What would cause Jeff Sessions to piss on his country the way he did? You know, Maxine Waters basically came out and said it. We got shit on everybody.
But here's the thing about Sessions, and I think that he was a terrible AG, but he did do a lot of good as far as breaking up pedo rings, and there was a lot of pedophile stuff busted up, a lot of child trafficking stuff busted up by his Justice Department. Did I think that he was a good attorney general? Absolutely not.
I go back to the rifle range.
He did do some good.
I go back to the rifle range, which I'm sure you're familiar with. The rifle range for the United States Army, not sure how the Air Force is, but I'm going to guess it's close. The rifle range for the United States Army, when I was serving, had 300-meter targets, 200-meter targets, 150-meter targets, 100-meter targets, and 50-meter targets. And when you went to the range, they popped up randomly. And the targets that were farther away stayed up longer. But if any of the targets, if you're on the battlefield and you start identifying targets from your position, the ones that are 50 meters away are one charge away from you getting bayoneted in the chest. So you have to engage the 50-yard targets first. No matter what other target's up, no matter what pedophilia ring you're looking at out there, when the president of the republic is under illegal attack, that's a 50-meter target. When the voter rolls are not, you can't trust the voter rolls, that's a 50-meter target. I'm kind
of curious. It was never explained. Maybe you've seen something. I never found anything about it. But why did Sessions recuse himself?
No, that part. That part was.
I never understood that.
The reason that was given, and at the time, I didn't know that it was going to become such a hell of a recusal that it became. But he was part of the campaign. As a matter of fact, the day Jeff Sessions came out on the stage wearing a white MAGA hat in Alabama, I can't remember what city it was in, but it was on a Friday night, Ward. And you've been down the South, I think, in the reserves.
Oh yeah.
And
no, I was Friday, full time.
I didn't mean reserves. I meant Air Force. But Friday night in the South, there's only one thing that happens at that time of year, and it's high school football. Mm-hmm. And it was Friday night, and he came out on that stage and was the first real Republican heavyweight politician to full-throatedly support President Trump. At the time, candidate Trump. And when I saw that crowd, and I saw him, that's when I became part of the Trump team, was that night. That night was all I needed to see, that I knew he was going to be elected when I saw that happen. When I saw all those people, not at the game, but at the rally, I figured, damn, this is serious right here.
Well, I mean, you look at the rallies he's still having now. The last one he had in Ohio, that was just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the comment that I seen that I thought was so funny was they were talking about Biden, and they said Biden pulled a crowd that was as big as the line waiting for the John at the Trump rally. Trump packs in 20,000 people, has a line out the door. Then he puts TVs outside for the people outside to still see what's going on, which I think is cool.
And you know, when you're at these rallies, and I've been at several of them, there's no amenities, ladies and gentlemen. There might be some bottled water, but that's about it. You're on your feet the
there's
whole
no
time.
concessions.
No, I mean, there's people out there, there's entrepreneurs that are selling stuff, but there's no refreshments, to speak of. There's shirts and stuff like that. Actually, the entrepreneurs are great to watch, too. They really sprung up. They know what's happening. They know what time it is. These people are here out of love.
And that and the fact that they know that this president would encourage that. Would encourage you to be an entrepreneur and say, hey, you know what? I can go sell bottles of water for, $2 a shot at the Trump rally because nobody else is doing it. Or there's somebody else doing it, but we can share.
And
so I'm going to make a little cash. He's going to make a little cash. Everybody makes money. And the president understands that and believes in that. That's the way capitalism works. That's why it's so cool.
And the guy is so smart that everywhere he goes, he calls out the local conservative leadership in that area by name. And a lot of times invites them up to the podium. So he's built this cohesive, strong, that's only going to get better. I'm with you. I can't wait till he comes back again the next time. And God help any protesters that come to it. I mean, he's got
what I really want to see, though, what I'm chomping at number one, I want to watch the Democrats eat their own.
Yeah, that's coming up
and
next
finally
week.
come up. Yeah, that's coming up next. And once they get a nominee, that's when it's going to get good, because then Trump can just take his entire focus and put it on whoever this client is and destroy them.
And we're going to help.
He will destroy them. Oh, absolutely. Mr. President, if you need anything from Cold War Radio / Steel City Resistance, you let us know, and we're there for you.
You're damn right. No question about it. Well, you know what, Ward? We're at that time of the program. It was a great show. Ran out of time, man, before we ran out of talk. How can people get in touch with you and your final comments, sir?
You can always hit me up on Twitter at Wardy22. And my comments are, this is so awesome to be back. It's a great time.
Great guy, ladies and gentlemen, Ward Miller, my man, from over across the river. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., just about everywhere. Don't forget to go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. Go to steelcityresistance.com. Wednesday night, we've got Sal and I. Stacy's not going to be able to make it. We'll get her on another night. Thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes open out there. We're not the minority. We're America. God bless. Go to rsbnmusic.bandcamp.com and support Jacob Seals, now playing in the background, MadisonRising.com, and freemusicarchive.org. I'm out. God bless. best part.